You're small towns, you're gonna know people.
Right, it's 60 degrees and everything.
Right, always.
Yeah.
Yep, we're good to go.
Everybody, okay, meeting is started, we're recording, okay. So at 6:33, I'd like to call the meeting, Morrison City Council to order. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Ruckner. Here. Cruz. Here. Mahaffey. Schlegel.
Here.
Travelt.
Here.
Tickler. West.
Here.
Zeideman.
Here.
All right, you stand and recite the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's meeting does start with a public hearing on the ITEP, which is Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program grant application for the path connecting North Jackson Street to the Morrison Sports Complex. The first pages of your packet are the presentation that City Administrator Melton has exposed before. It's got a few more details as far as numbers and dollars in it. And if you would wish to, do you want to add anything, Brian?
I would just like to point out that in working on this grant project, I'm through the grant application to have learned of our community score when we talk about the local match requirement and local match assistance. And the score is on a scale from 0 to 100. 0 meaning you're a wealthy community and you don't need any assistance, to 100 being poverty level community that needs all the assistance. And we're at 45.5, which is better news than a higher score. But what that translates into is we would be eligible for 10% of the local match eligibility. So locally, between the city, MADC, and any other community fundraising, we would have to come up with 10% of the overall cost of the project. With the exception of, as I mentioned last meeting, any land acquisition that we obtain.
So that's 50-50
And that's 50-50.
in that slide, you know.
Okay. And then I just fast forward to everything else is basically the same through the project. And then I added at the end the cost estimation that I again was able to update today, but the project shows here, the total project shows $797,290. And I had to adjust the path lighting projected cost today, which takes that up to $833,000 for projected or estimated cost of the project. So I just want to point that out. I can get you the exact figure once I submit it at the end of this week, but it's right near that 830 mark. Which 10% is, if I'm doing it right, 83,000. So everything else is essentially the same. I just continue to, I'm waiting for the engineer's final draft of the plan and a few more of the support letters, and we should be good to go. So unless there's any questions.
And it is, we've inquired with the landowner, Brian, and they're still game to sell.
They're willing to sell, it's just the issue of price and
Right,
more on that in the future.
sure.
So
That's the cheapest version you're talking about?
Well, you've got there.
yeah, that's the cheapest version, but we believe one of one of the better options. I mean, everybody's gonna have their own opinion on where they want the path, but um. It's a good route and, yeah, it is the less expensive.
As
I
far
wouldn't
as-
call it cheap, but less expensive of the three options. So,
Okay. Further commentary? So then at 6:39, I would declare the public hearing closed. We had no one sign up for public comment. City officers, department heads. Chief,
Thank you, Mayor. We had a successful harvest hammer in Major Town. The weather held off. We weren't sure, that afternoon, but I think they had some record numbers for the hammer, especially the fun run. Quite a few kids. The county rolled out our new computer software that dispatches us calls. We're all kind of learning that. That was a week ago. That's new. I think that was about it.
all right. Treasurer? There's, okay. Okay. All right, administrator, before we get to the consent agenda.
just a couple quick updates, hopefully you noticed the parking lot when you came in, they finished that last, Saturday. And they started work early this morning on the Genesee intersection project on the corner. Still finalizing, last few things with the, subcontractor to finish the sidewalk on Academic Drive. But, until I find out on Wednesday, which is our next IDOT, status meeting on the Route 78 project. To date, they're still, planning on starting to pave next Monday. So. Those are the updates I have for you today.
All right. There are 4 items in the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
It's a motion and a second. It's on the table for discussion. Are there any further questions, comments about those 4 items? Hearing none, clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner.
Yeah.
Cruz. Yes. Schlegel.
Yes.
Travelt.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Zeideman.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Okay, Public Works Building exterior painting, again, Administrator Melton elaborated on that in a memo to you from last Friday. And there is a summary of the bids on your page, 29. With the note that I can't say that guy's name, is still out of compliance with the bid.
Bellotti.
Yeah, not complete bid. And the recommendation is for Color Star at the about 105 number. Is there a motion to approve a bid?
I'll make the motion to approve Color Star.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and approved. It's on the table for discussion. Are there questions or concerns? Further discussion about that bid?
I got a question, Mayor, and I also got, and we could maybe save the second one. I got, one is a procedural and one is specific about this project. So specifically about the project. In terms of the roof, and I'm sorry if I've missed this, but even for the edification of those online, how much are we thinking if we painted the roof that it would extend the life of this roof relative to replacement costs of the roof? I need to know, and I'm sorry if I missed it, I need to know kind of some comparisons on that. Have you thought about that at all, Brian, or, you know? Why paint the roof unless we're gonna extend its life extensively, right? Unless it's
I
for
would
aesthetic
believe so.
reasons.
I would, well, for both, case in point, if you went out and looked at all the 100 buildings and stood back and and looked at them. The main building was painted back in 2017, which I believe we wouldn't have to paint again right now, and that would knock, well, at least from the Color Star bid, $15,000 off the bid. The rest of them are dirty, getting surface rust, just don't look good. And if you paint the rest of the building, but yet leave the roof aesthetically,
That's what I was wondering, if this was as much an aesthetic thing or
Yep.
like,
Sure it
or
is.
extending the life.
no,
Are we-
all the
I mean,
roofs
I mean, it's
are
gonna
metal.
Extend the life, it's just like paint your house or anything else, it is gonna protect against the weather. I would assume. That's going on a limb, that is gonna extend it to a certain degree, the specifics of it, that nobody knows.
And
I really think the Norwich building should be something different than painted, because that is an old style building. Nails are put in where they don't put nails anymore, it's gonna be prone to leak quicker. I really think that building should be what the Amish do, not the Amish here, but the Amish down Tampico. They put a coating on the top of it instead of replacing the whole roof. I really think that's what should happen out there. Paint ain't gonna seal nail, the old nail style. The new style of putting roofs on is all screwed down.
Well, the bid specs were approved.
Yeah.
Several meetings ago, so to discuss what to do with the Norris building. Is certainly up to the council, but this council approved the bid specs to go out as they did. And that's what we have for quotes, whether or not you want to do. I mean, we had them break down the buildings and the roofs accordingly, so whether you want to select to do certain buildings and some roofs or not is totally up to you guys.
Brandon, I'm glad you bring that up, because the second thing I wanted to ask was, and it's clearly in the request for proposal, or whatever, that, you know, we're asking for estimates. Like at what point, and maybe this is for our attorney, but at what point do we request estimates relative to bids? You know what I mean?
Yeah, a project of this size, in the end, they're gonna sign a contract.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be bound to the figures they've given us, whether you wanna call it quote, an estimate, a bid, whatever you wanna call it. They're gonna sign a contract,
Okay, that's good to know.
and any substantial change, well, any change to the bid, they have to come through the council for,
And then
just like we have done with all of our other major projects.
Well, and I think that's the semantics a little bit too, because if you read the language for Color Star. You know, there's a lot of ambiguity in terms of what this might end up being, and so when you say there's a contract, that makes me feel a lot better. Because according to his language, it's like, well, it could be a lot more, we don't know what'll happen. It isn't written like he's gonna enter into a contract with the city, you know what I mean, and that makes. At least me a little bit nervous, but if you're entering into a binding contract, I feel better about it.
We dealt with the Mills construction thing half a dozen years ago, maybe more than that. And we got nailed with a bid or a cost way over the estimate. I think there's several of us here on the board that went through that. It wasn't a very pretty picture. To get away from that, I'm gonna make an amendment to this motion. That the contract says that we will not pay any more than $105,015.
There's a motion to amend the motion on the floor. Is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
All right, now the amendment is up for discussion. Is there any question, comment, discussion on that
Yeah,
amendment?
because if they find stuff that needs to be fixed, they're gonna come to us. I don't wanna be tied to 105. Cause if there's stuff that's nobody has seen, nobody, you know, and it's legit, I would rather have that being fixed and then moving forward.
They should have looked at the whole project. They should know what needs to be fixed.
Sure.
Where do we sit on the Mount Pleasant building? Are we keeping it or are we gonna sell it? I mean, there's $18,000 there. It's,
that's not,
does
up to you.
$18,000 increase the value of that building, 18,000? I don't think so.
It could. Painting,
18,000?
it's painting, you paint your house, your value's going up, just like the roof. You put a roof on your
No,
house,
I don't think so.
well,
You're expected to have a paint job on your house when you sell it. Otherwise, you're gonna take a lower
that's
price.
not expected, that's assuming.
It's expected.
There's a lot of
Certain
houses
things,
out
there's
there.
certain things that are expected when you go to buy something. And just by putting new carpet in your living room is not gonna raise the price of your house.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
You guys, I think Vern makes a good point though, in asking about if we're selling it or not. Because we've talked about aesthetics with that building. Because again, I mean, you have people all the time taking pictures, wedding photos there and whatnot. If we're gonna sell it, which I frankly don't think we should sell it because of the access and what might happen to it if we do sell it. I think we should keep it. If we should keep it, it's a question of aesthetics. If we're planning on selling it, Vern makes a good point. I don't know how much value add that is. And so there's a deeper question there in terms of our planning of selling it or not.
I don't see the. Of course, I work in your direction, but I don't see us getting rid of that Norris building anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because what we bought it for, it's worth us keeping.
I think so too.
Okay, again, the motion on the floor is for an amendment to limit the bid award at a price not to exceed 105.15. Any further questions strictly on the amendment? If not, clerk, would you call the roll on the amendment?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz. Yes. Schlegel,
No,
Terrell,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidema.
Yes,
Motion carries.
Okay, we have an amended motion on the floor to award the contract to Color Star with the strict limit on the amount at 105.15. That amendment or that amended motion is on the floor for further discussion at this time. Any questions, further discussion? If not, clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
no,
Cruz. No.
I'm
Schlegel,
Can I get a clarification before I vote? What are we voting on again right now?
Okay, we're gonna award
Yeah.
the painting contract to Color Star, but we are strictly limiting the amount we are paying to 105,015.
And
we
we're,
voted on that.
yeah, that's what I'm.
We voted
no, we
on
only voted on the amendment of only going
Yeah.
up to 105 and nothing more.
So now we're voting on.
No, now we're voting on the motion and giving it to Color Star, not going over 105. So I'm the one that said, no, we should go over 105. Everybody else said, no, let's keep it at 105. Now you're voting to paint it, which we've already had 2 no votes to paint, which makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm a little
Yeah, it
confused,
does.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it should be painted this year.
Continue on.
So now we're voting no to even do it.
Now you're voting whether or not to.
We're voting to do it,
award
not to do it.
Okay,
With
yeah.
that amendment.
Correct.
To
Okay.
clarify, you're awarding the contract to Color Star, but you're not going to pay him more than 105,015.
That's what we're voting on. Thank you.
That's the mo-
Now, we've had a couple of votes.
And those are-
Should I just start over, or
Start
Bruckner, are you
Yeah.
standing?
No,
Cruz,
No. Schlegel.
yes,
Travell,
No.
West,
Yes.
Side.
No,
Motion fails.
Okay, so you all have voted not to paint
Buildings.
the municipal buildings. Keep that in mind.
I voted yes, so.
Okay,
Right, but council voted no.
so you guys don't want to paint these buildings? Okay,
we just don't like the way it's been done. Next time you put out a
We've been doing this for 6 weeks.
you approved the bid.
The RFP has been out for weeks and weeks and weeks under your approval.
I think I voted no on it, so I have a right to say so.
Under the council's approval.
Time to start over. With a positive bid.
Next item on the agenda is Larch and Wall Street Water Main Project funded by ARPA, starting on your page 46, with a report by Willick and Hoffman. So the we requested motion would be to approve this project at the we will let it out. Is that
No.
correct? Oh,
No. The recommendation from our engineers are to award the bid.
Okay.
As provided to Miller Trucking Excavating for $572,899.40.
And there you see on, yeah, the notice of award would be on page 51.
Thank
you. And the pricing is on the pages prior to that, pages starting at page 46, again, to be paid for by about $500,000 of ARPA funding. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or discussions? Again, this is a project that has been exposed several times. We've had it bid and we have a recommendation to award. It will improve the water service for that corner of the city. Basically starting at Heaton Street and Wall and running to the west and to the south. Okay.
Is this the end of the water connections or what?
We're just finishing up the Elm and Maple, but that finished today or this week or
Hopefully tomorrow.
tomorrow, okay? Yeah, and then we got the thing under the railroad earlier. And we're working on this on the other southwest side.
And the only other one that is in the next phase or possibly part of the next phase is looping Orange Street to Genesee. I believe that's the last major water main loop to do. There may be a little one for a
Is that
dead
next
end
year?
here and there on an
Is that
alley.
next year, Jimmy? Or is that down the road?
It's technically in phase 6.
Way down,
We
yeah.
have 6 phases now?
But we're working on 5.
We're done,
Yeah,
yeah, we're
I
done
thought
with a
we-
bunch of phases, yeah.
I know that.
Possibly
I
phase.
thought we only had 5 phases
Yeah.
in total. I
Okay.
didn't realize there was a 6th phase.
So I
A lot of
believe it's
phases,
been moved
so.
and approved, or seconded, excuse me.
Yeah.
On Wall Larch Loop. That's on the table for further discussions or questions. Hearing none, clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travell,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Side.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 2409, vacant buildings. This has been exposed a few times. We have gone through it, found some typos and found some questions. And in addition, we have elected to separate the fees from the ordinance so that every time we wanted to amend the fees, we wouldn't have to amend the entire ordinance. We just amend the fees. Excuse me. So is there a motion to approve ordinance 24-09 vacant buildings starting on your page 52.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any questions or discussions? Hearing none. This doesn't have money in it.
It's still an ordinance.
Okay,
I would recommend.
let's do a voice vote.
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Trevelt,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zidewell. Motion carries.
All right, so. As described, then we will, propose. The fees and, associated costs. In our ordinance to amend. Fees, penalties, bonds, and other charges. Starting on your page 66. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Right. It's on the floor for discussion. You can see the fees are displayed there, starting on your page 70 as Exhibit A attached to that ordinance. Any comments, questions, discussion on this?
I have a few comments, Mr.
All right, please.
I just want to just clarify or make sure we all understand the fee schedule. So under these fee amounts, someone who has a vacant building that's a residence would pay a one-time registration fee of $125. They have to pay that no matter what. And then if the house remains vacant without any kind of renovation plan, selling it, anything, just sits there, then the owner has to pay an additional $250 each year. If it's a resident, or if it's a non-residential commercial building, they have to pay a one-time fee, registration fee of $250. And if the building just sits there, not occupied, not being renovated, etc., then the annual fee would be $500. If a property owner registers a building, whether it's a residential or a non-residential building, and they're either renovating it, renting it out, trying to sell it, except actively trying to sell it, then the annual fee is $25. The fee schedule is set up to promote and motivate property owners to do something, no matter what it is, but to do something with the building. And then if they want to violate it and not register, stick to their plan, etc., they can face a penalty or a fine of $250 up to $2,500 for each day they're in violation. These fees were double to begin with. After talking to the Illinois Realty Association, I thought I would offer lessening the fine amount or the cost amounts, just because we want people to register the building so we can better manage this. And it's not necessarily about, trying to hammer them with a big fine or something, but just trying to get these buildings in check and holding owners responsible. That's all.
I would just say that, and I appreciate that last sentiment. So I think, unless I'm misunderstanding this, and again, this might be better for our city attorney, but based on how we're defining a vacant building, too, how we're defining it. And so my interpretation of how we defined it here, I'm looking for it, but how I read it earlier was like, so say, for example, you have a building that is kept up nice. Painted, mowed, locked. No easy point of entry, all that definition that we used. Then are you still supposed to register? Because to me, that doesn't qualify as a vacant building in terms of how we defined it in terms of those 5 markers. If that makes sense. So if it needs to be a vacant building and have one, it needs to not be locked up, or it needs to have somebody else living there, or it needs to be unkept, or it needs, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Okay. Okay,
so the answer is yes.
okay. I just want to make sure.
These are for vacant buildings that appear to be vacant, may not be secured, starting to deteriorate,
Right,
are
right,
not aesthetically pleasing to look at, and are very obviously
right,
either abandoned or vacant or,
right. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was interpreting.
yes,
Okay.
Has legal looked at all this?
yes,
Okayed it? Okay.
yep, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Then they're responsible.
That's what we pay for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who's determining if the outside is unkept?
Our new eventual.
Code enforcement officer, yes.
But we're gonna approach all of this with a reasonable mind. We're not gonna come in with a heavy hand and be really black and white about it until somebody is blatantly trying to avoid compliance. I mean, it's as we start to enforce this, there's gonna be some in our community that are gonna complain that they never knew anything about it.
Right.
You can only lead a horse to water. That's all you can do. So, we hope not to create additional resistance to this program by having a heavy fist, heavy hand. So we hope to work with owners to make them understand why we're doing this and what we require and working with them on it. The council ultimately has to approve any kind of rehabilitation or renovation plan anyway. So. I think.
I
it's a good
got
thing.
a question.
Yep.
How are we gonna enforce this if the officer is not a police officer or what? How's it gonna, how can that guy enforce anything?
By
He has
the,
to come back through you?
They'll be able to issue citations, just like animal control.
by the position you approved and job description you approved. And by state statute and local ordinance, you can give somebody the authority to enforce these
Okay.
kind of ordinances without being a law enforcement officer.
Okay,
So he can, he or she can go around writing all the local ordinance tickets they want. You don't have to carry a badge and a gun for that.
okay.
So what I'm concerned about, and I asked about this, whether there was going to be some kind of connection with the police. Because there may be hostile characters
Absolutely.
and causing fear in that inspector should be able then to ask for, what would you call it, escort or something to protect them.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
For sure. And there's certain city ordinances that the code enforcement officer isn't going to address or enforce, and there's several of them out there, like public fighting and public intox and any disorderly conduct type situations, that will still be for the police to work. But the code enforcement officer will work together with the police department and on some of these areas that there might be that concern.
Point of clarification. Vacant building annual fee does not discriminate between residential or commercial. And you said maybe for residential it was only $250. And for.
For the,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right, for whether it's a residential or a non-residential
Right.
building, it doesn't matter for
Okay.
for the vacant building annual fee.
It's gonna be
It's
500.
gonna be 500.
Okay,
I stand corrected on that.
okay. So it is it has been moved and seconded, yes,
Yes.
okay. We are still open for discussion on this.
I'll make a motion
She's-
that we approve.
No, it's been moved and seconded.
We were in
Um,
discussion. sir.
Is there any further questions or comments on this fee schedule? If not, clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Tervelt,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidman,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. All right, we have discussed a utility vehicle for public works before, and then starting on your page 71, excuse me. We were looking at various models of the club carryall, and it seems like the 500 was the one that we sort of liked.
I make a motion to approve the carry-all 500 gas. Does that come with, it says lights and cover. Aluminum box, the cover means the canopy,
It's not a cab, it's just a canopy.
yeah, like it's shown,
Just like it's shown, color and all.
it's not a.
That one, okay.
Like, an option,
Is there a second to that motion?
second,
Sorry, wrong picture, this one.
Okay, and the price is as listed at 13,938,
Yes, 988.
or 988, sorry, so
That's
just
her
about
list.
$14,000.
So what's that gonna be used for other than watering flowers?
Oh, we'll use it for various, especially seasonal work, traveling around the city, doing various, maintenance type jobs, other than the beautification, the watering and so forth. So,
Gotta be used for fun, just for.
no,
Parades.
they use them all for fun, when they feel like.
Yeah. They could enter it in a parade for fun, yeah.
Council members can sit in the back.
Sure,
That's sealed.
sure.
You might have to stand.
I did pick this one because. I don't think most of the other ones won't carry enough water. One of, this one carries 800 pounds, well, the next one down was like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
How big a tank are we using?
60-gallon tank,
60?
yeah,
Well, that's more than 300 pounds.
yeah. And the utility box on the 300 would just barely fit our tank and frame that we have it on.
Well,
So-
but it doesn't, it wouldn't hold, you couldn't put 60-gallon water,
No, no, you're right,
about 25.
yeah. Yeah, you're right, yeah, maybe a little more. I don't know how much 60 gallons of water, that's
It
480.
weighs about 10 pounds a gallon.
Oh.
But then you got the
Pint
apparatus.
of pound, the world of pound.
Yeah, yeah, well, I think the 500 is the best value for the dollar anyway, for low capacity and tow capacity. So I agree with you.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded to make this purchase. Any further questions or discussions? If not, clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Abstain.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Tervelt,
Yes.
West.
Yeah.
Zeidman,
Yeah,
motion carries.
Okay, resolution 24-06, concurrent with our applying for the ITEP grant. A resolution from the city council would be called for in support of that application for the grant.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions on the resolution? Again, it's starting on your page 78. It's very brief. It just says we're applying for a grant and we support that.
blank.
Please approve this. I've put a lot of work in this grant. If you don't
yeah.
approve it tonight, I'm done.
That's not much
I won't be
work.
applying
That's
for
how
it.
much work, my computer's all blank,
78,
it's all blank,
there's, well, there's something on there.
that's how much work you put in there, blank.
Do you want hard
That's
copy?
78.
It's the regular whereases,
That's it.
It's up on the screen if you want to read it.
but yeah, it just says, we're gonna commit 20% of the match, and we're hoping we're getting 10% of the match. But we do have to commit to 50% for what right-of-way acquisition, street lighting.
This isn't the final hammer on it anyway, right?
No,
This is just a
That's
support the
correct.
application.
this is a resolution in support of the applying for the grant.
After 63, blank.
So do we have a motion and a second?
Yes, we do.
Yes,
Uh,
and this is a motion in support. Although, well, there's money in there, we better have a roll call.
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travelt,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidema,
Yes,
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then. Okay, so then the proposal supporting the path pending everything from now on with regard to the recreational path will be pending the grant award, starting on your page 81 from, Fair Graham.
So moved.
second.
Any questions, comments about the, the proposal and scope of services? Again, we'll only expend this money if we get the grant.
And the grant matches up to 90%.
Okay, so it could be 20%, it could be 10%, yeah. For us, so. But since there is money, we better. Any further questions on that? If not, clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travelt,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidema,
Yes,
motion carries.
And then related to that, ordinance 24-10. We have an easement on the property. Recreational easement that runs along the drainage path of the property. Which we do not intend to use. And the seller was, a nice guy about reminding us that we need to release that easement. So there, yeah, that's a good drawing. So that's the drainage that's not useful for growing crops and it's not useful for putting a bike trail, but we had a recreational easement on that path. And we should have released it a couple of years ago. We have not released that easement. But this ordinance 24-10 is again, the lawyer helped us prepare this and we'll just quit that and say we're releasing that easement. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
second.
It does not involve money. Are there any questions? If not, let's have a voice vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. All right. You have a schedule that was put on your desk about the proposed, or suggested or ideas about street improvements. And this is the time to get your ideas about where we want to put our authorized, our resources. So some of the suggestions, Orange Street, south side to Winfield, Genesee, south to Winfield. Jackson, north of the hospital, Genesee.
Is there any water construction having to be done in either one of the mains, east or west?
Yes,
If you did, yeah, if you did Main Street, you'd wanna think about the water main.
Mayor.
How much money do we have to spend?
That's why I wanted to ask, because for FY 2024 total revenue. This must be inflated by some, like extra 479,000,
We put in 100,000 if you look at that.
is that what it was? 100,000? Okay,
we
We
transferred.
moved 100,000.
we transferred it in, okay, all right, thanks. So
That's how it's done, so.
we're looking at around 350 a year. And revenue.
Yes,
Yeah, but how much do we have spent out that we have to pay?
Right. For Main Street,
On
yeah,
Main Street and all the other places.
right.
right. So attached, what I handed out to you tonight was first, the page in our project plan for streets. Below the heavy black line are projects to be done. We're doing the northeast quadrant of Genesee and then we have budgeted for Genesee Court or Crocker Bridge for next fiscal year. The next two pages, right, next two pages are the two funds that primarily, well, these are the two funds that pay for our street projects. The first one is the 1% sales tax fund and then the motor fuel tax fund. It shows. Well, essentially, when it comes down to 1% sales tax, other than street projects we decide to do, each year we pay approximately 150,000 to the Main Street bond. And that goes until 2047. So. Not looking at the 100,000 that was transferred. At the end of last fiscal year, we get about 340,000 a year. In revenue. And when I projected this out 5 years, I was very conservative with any increases. In interest and in the local sales tax. The trend is it goes up each year, and even this year, it's gonna be pretty much, well, it's definitely gonna be above what we budgeted. Cause so far we're doing pretty good with it, but
We're adding businesses.
and we're adding businesses. So the only commitment we have at this point each year is the 150 to the loan or the bond. We continue to build a fund. And so this next year, fiscal year 26, is when we will most likely pay for the Crocker Bridge, or at least our portion, because they're starting that bridge on the last day of the school year that we are currently in. With that, we're projected to have a balance after that of 876,000. So. The question I bring to you, because right now would be the time to talk to our engineers to get something going for next year. If you want to do perhaps maybe a smaller project next year, save a little and spend a little each year. Do some smaller projects each year while we still continue to build towards a bigger project, whatever that project may be. I'm just looking for some kind of guidance if you want to do a project for next year, so we can get on with it.
Isn't South Genesee from the road tracks one of our most trafficked streets, right? It was Cherry and Genesee were
Genesee and Orange.
right up there.
Yeah.
Orange is right up there too.
The differences between Orange and Genesee are most of the intersection sidewalks are already ADA compliant on Genesee. And in fairly good shape. Where Orange Street, I think almost, if not every intersection would have to be, the sidewalks would also have to be done. So I would suspect, even with the estimates on here, I would suspect that Orange would probably be a little more expensive to do than Genesee. Just for that reason.
I like the most heavily trafficked in terms of our impact for the community, you know. bang for a buck, so to speak. It'd be nice. Cherry's done.
There are a few little cul-de-sacs that are in really bad shape, and that's up on Jenkrin and Glenwood Court, up by Diamond Court. They're in pretty bad shape too, if you want to do smaller projects.
That's the opposite of what I'm, in terms
Right.
of bang for your buck.
Right, yeah, bang for your buck,
$5
but-
or something.
But
Yeah.
those are
I see your point.
Yeah,
those are in really bad
yeah,
shape.
yeah, that's true.
I like the idea of doing smaller projects, but saving for that larger project. And then, for instance, like East Main Street, that's a horrible street. And at least put it on the radar for people to see, that, yeah, we're still making progress in small areas, you know, that we can do.
Would you consider the Genesee to Winfield small?
I mean, if we can afford it.
I mean, that's 250 or whatever. I mean, is that what you're
I
thinking?
mean,
Small
yeah,
is about 250?
You know, it all depends how the money shakes out. I mean, if you can't spend 250, then
We'll do
put it somewhere else, or maybe two others, or something like that. I just think we need to start saving for those larger projects and East Main Street, or else they're never gonna get done. And
Well,
we may as well start
West
now.
Main too.
well, and mathematically, I guess, if we're spending 150 on Main Street and we're getting 300 to 350. If we do a $250,000 project a year, we are not saving. We're spending it all, basically. You got 250 and you got another 150. You're spending everything you got.
For
You know
that
what I'm
year.
saying? For that year, is
For
what
that
I'm
year.
saying. You're not saving if you're doing that level of project.
No, but I mean, 250 might be too much.
Yeah.
But there again, once Crocker's done, you know, why can't we put the money we had that we're spending for that towards something else? It's already in the budget, we've already,
We built up a little bit.
I think the two important things. One is that you do something that's the most visible. And then at this point, that it should be a smaller project. Small project that's very visible, that's the best as far as I'm concerned. But then I would have to say, I don't see Johnson Street from Madison on here at all. But that's because,
Your turn,
Well, but I have
Yeah.
to, I
you're
have
part
to,
of the alley plan,
I
sir.
have to say that a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people come by my house and they look down the road to see what I'm doing down there, and then what do they see? All this busted up gravel right there.
You're part of the alley plan, sir.
Okay,
Sorry. What's your address there? Is it
302. That's a street.
Johnson Street?
Yes, it's a
Yeah,
street.
he's not an alley.
It's a street, not an alley.
Probably the worst street in town.
It
Is that what we're doing, advocating for our own houses right now?
Yeah.
Well, I-
Yeah, Bert and I'll start talking about it too.
I probably,
how much is it?
I probably have to retire or just quit my job before I get it done. Wouldn't look right.
Well, we're planning to address that issue with our alley plan, so.
Well, that, whatever you can do will be money.
So, and,
Yeah, but
To point out, if you look at the- you know, I know this is,
Jackson Street. Yeah. That's what,
Is that very visible?
that's
South
a,
Jackson, yeah.
that's a highly
Highly
driven
driven
street.
street.
yeah, I mean, yeah, South Genesee, South Jackson. And then save up for East Main and
That
save
has
up
to
for
be
West
one
Main.
that probably should
You
be
know.
pushed to the top is the next year or two.
I would like to see Orange or Genesee done for
Yeah,
visibility.
yeah. And you look at today's treasurer's report, there's over $1 million in the 1% sales tax fund. And I realize a lot of that's obligated. I get it, but, you know, we should be very proud of our finances. And I think these discussions are exactly what we need to do. So, you know, it was South Genesee. Lot of traffic, a lot of bang for your buck.
Are you guessing at those numbers?
Yeah, I remember we were.
No, some of these were,
You think that's?
I can get
Conservative.
updated as.
Yeah,
cost
what
estimations
did
from-
some
Are
cherry
you on the
cost?
high side, you think?
These were
Probably
quoted
gonna
by
be on
Willett
both sides,
Hoffman.
Right.
These were quoted by Willett Hoffman probably 2 years ago. Not at 250, but I think it was about 200 and I pushed it up a little bit knowing that it was gonna cost more. I can get some updated costs.
Wait
So
till
like-
you hear the new president's gonna be, it might bring here.
The, like North Keaton, 30 to the railroad. 379. Route 30 to the railroads, is that 370?
That was the three, that was
Okay.
Cherry, Heaton, and
Okay.
North Jackson.
Okay,
Those three.
that's
Yeah.
good to know. So that means
There's
you're,
grid.
these ballparks for Orange and Genesee are pretty good.
So
Well, in
Can we-
2023
can we
dollars.
actually-
fairly,
Yeah,
Would
okay.
you say that we could actually consider doing Genesee, Orange and South Jackson in one year? Or just one of them?
just one of them. You'd probably do them all and deplete the fund, but
So we should decide which one.
thank you.
And the consensus is,
Go
I'm
south
hearing-
there, man.
I think
You
Genesee
didn't talk about going north, we go south.
so let's, okay,
So we're
so,
not deciding tonight.
no, we're not
No,
deciding.
deciding that.
This is just for
I
discussion.
put it out there and I can try and get,
Genesee ahead of Orange. And then,
I
yeah,
like the idea of Genesee, South Genesee.
and then keep saving money for East Main and West Main, because they are both,
I mean,
and
I,
maybe Jinkern
yeah.
and the other one, we can have the township help us
It's gotta
with.
be done, both the east and west,
what's that?
east and west Main are.
Yes,
They've been like that
Yes.
for years.
Gotta go
It's
slow.
like, you gotta start somewhere.
okay,
We can't do those for several years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's $1 million each.
We may never.
Name bridge,
Maybe
that's-
not.
They're $1 million
We have to do
each.
something- We would have to do something, because those are horrible. I don't
Yep.
even drive down there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
but
gotta have money to do something.
just consider the charm of those streets.
Right,
Yeah.
thank you.
There are some
the
big-
charm of East
They don't
Johnson.
want to fix, because they don't want the traffic.
Bricks on my street there.
You go down there and take them right up and Main Street.
I'm gonna have to go visit Brooklyn.
Then also, please let me and Brian know your opinions on this priority list, but I see South Genesee edging ahead of South Orange. And then we can talk about the other north-south streets and then save money for East Main and West Main, because they are each going to be $1 million plus.
Sounds good.
Any further comments, questions, discussions?
Yeah, as far as the painting goes on the building, are we not truly painting anything?
We've put it out for bid twice already.
No.
I'm just saying,
asking
We put it out for bid twice already, so
Yeah.
to do anything differently, what are we gonna do? You guys have approved and we put it out twice already.
I say we wait till next year.
Well,
Look at it. I won't be around, so we'll wait till next year.
you understand, approving it now, most of it won't be painted till next year anyway.
Anyway,
Right, Milton's proposal said next year.
Yeah,
I find it a little contradictory.
so we're gonna put this off another year, is what you're saying.
I just find it a little contradictory when we don't approve painting a building, but yet we have the code enforcement officer wanting to complain about you not mowing your yard or you not keeping your.
Oh,
shit up.
it doesn't look that bad. And besides that, we just paid $800,000 for the place and we said, yes, we're going to improve it. And a lot of improvement has taken place already. And then all of a sudden, before a year is up, we're gonna paint the whole darn thing. It just seems a bit too much.
We were gonna pay $1.3
Isn't
million to build a brand new building 2 years ago before I got in council. Then that jumped up to 3 million.
That's got.
And now we're
nothing
up
to do with it.
Yeah,
Nothing.
you were ready to spend 1.3
I
million, but
was
now.
not. Don't tell me I was ready to spend any of that.
Motion to
You
adjourn.
being council.
Yeah.
Make a motion.
Motion to-
Second.
Anyone opposed to adjourning?
I wasn't done.
At 7:32, I declare the meeting adjourned.